Hi everybody, I'm Chef Boomer. Today we're going to talk about the 7 reasons why you should not own a restaurant. Now that may sound funny, but when I finish, you may decide that you want to get a job as a car salesman or perhaps work in fast food, heaven forbid. It takes a ton of hard work and takes plenty of guts. First of all, food is only 20% of your restaurant. So if you thought you're just going to sell food and make $1 million, there's a lot more to it than that. And it's just a product. The food is the product that you sell, just like a salesman sells a hairbrush or sells a gallon of milk. Here are some business steps that we're going to get into right now. Number 1, you have to decide on your concept. Concept is very important. You have to figure out a menu. You have to have passion for what you do. You have to check out the price points of the local neighborhood to make sure the menu is, you don't want to have $15 plates and you're in a $7 hamburger neighborhood. Very important that you check out the neighborhood and see if the neighborhood will support it by the price point. Number 2, you have to do your market research. There's many restaurants that try to sell what you do. You have to make sure that they're not in a 5-mile radius. If they are in a 5-mile radius, you have to think of a reason why you want to go ahead and do that. Because if there's a lot of them and they're already in that neighborhood and they're already making tons of money, unless you've built a better mousetrap, people are extremely loyal. And you want them to be loyal because you want them to be loyal to you. On number 2 of our market research is how many houses would buy what you have to sell. It's very important. I mean, you could be in a 500-house neighborhood, but they're all love Chinese food, and you're trying to sell hamburgers. Not going to work. You have to find out what your demographic is going to be. It's very important. It's a big word, demographic, but it refers to your entire neighborhood and what you can get out of your neighborhood. How many businesses in that 5-mile would eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, very important. You might want to decide, well, I just want to serve breakfast. Well, I'm going to tell you, the restaurant you're paying rent for 24 hours a day. You might want to consider having 3 meals a day, if not even a late night snack. You just never know. Okay, we're going to get to number 3. Number 3 is, I call it the quest. You're going to visit your real estate office and you're going to look for options. You're going to ask them to take you on tours of restaurants or spaces that they have that you might decide to put a restaurant in. You want to be able to ask them everything. You have to go to restaurants in the area, visit them, sit down and have lunch, talk to them, see how they're doing. If they're saying, oh, we're dying, this neighborhood is dead, well, there's a warning. Also visit other stores, not restaurants, but other stores, and ask them things like how much is their water, how much is their gas, how much are their utilities, how much do they have to pay perhaps for garbage pickup. You just make yourself a list and you just fill in the blanks as you go. This is your homework. From this video on, you might as well figure you're easily 2 to 3 months out from opening a restaurant. I wish I could say it's 5 minutes, but if you do it in 5 minutes, you'll be out of business in 5 minutes. That's about the way it works. Number 4, telemarketing. You have to check your neighborhood. You have to check with pest control. You have to check equipment companies, refrigeration companies, linen service, chemical service, business insurance providers, and you have to call your local bar. Ask the bartender or the manager, can I start a tab? Because I think I'm going to be needing one. I'm opening up a restaurant and I'll probably be in here drinking myself silly, realizing that I've lost all of this money. Next, as you can tell, I'm reading notes too. Number 5, you have to build your model. You have to get out your Excel spreadsheet and your legal pad and list all of the information that you gathered in a monthly, quarterly format, just as if you were opening up the restaurant, and then multiply that number by 1.5. The reason you multiply it by 1.5 is it will give you an approximate, as pretty close as you can get to what it's actually going to cost to run that restaurant. This is your fixed cost per year. Now, number 6, you have to add the food and the staff for sales. First year is going to be a high food cost. You're going to be about 40% food cost, and your labor will probably be about 30%. Your customer flow, ordering, and scheduling should be taken into consideration at this point. You should always be aware that you should be aware of the total operating expense. And these figures I just gave you, this is a way to figure them out. Now, quite high, but might be that you want to do that. It's always going to be high when you open. Now, the government gives you a certain amount of years that you're allowed to take a loss. Well, you don't want to take a loss. You'd rather make money right from the beginning, but you have to be able to get through 12 months of not making a nickel profit, because you have to pay your rent, your electric, your blah, 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 and that's all going to suck money out of you. You have to make sure that you're not relying on the money the restaurant makes to pay that. If you try to rely on the money the restaurant makes to pay that, you'll go broke. You'll start bad credit with your vendors, and that usually never winds up well. Okay? Number 7, don't panic. If the steps 1 through 6 scare you, repeat them until you find a concept and a profile that you can live with. In other words, let's say you wanted to open a hamburger shop and you realize that hamburgers were not going to work with those price points. Well, then you have to look at another avenue of the restaurant business. I love the restaurant business, and it's been very good to me. So, but you have to lay your groundwork. You have to be aware. Don't get scared. It's hard work. And if you don't do your groundwork, once again, I repeat, it's very important. If you don't do the groundwork, you're not going to come up and you're not going to make lots of money. The most important thing in the restaurant business is funding and finance. Funding and finance, and you have to have a website, you have to have a telephone, you have to have good employees, you have to have a head chef who knows how to cook. You also have to know how to run your business. You don't have to know how to cook, but you have to know when he's getting ready to change the oils. Is he throwing your oil away at $30 a box, or is he throwing your oil away at $15 a box, and which one of the two make a difference? Whether it's peanut oil or vegetable oil, or, yeah, these are very important things. Okay, this is our first video. We'll talk again. Thanks again. This is Chef Boomer saying, happy cooking.